The massive space station orbited slowly around Nexus Prime, its metal surface gleaming under the light of 3 suns. Inside the main meeting hall, representatives from 12 alien races sat around a huge circular table. The air was thick with tension as emergency lights blinked red on every wall. High Commander Vextar stood at the center of the room. His snake-like body moved smoothly as he gestured toward the large screen behind him. The screen showed images that made even the bravest warriors feel cold inside. Millions of dark shapes moved through space like a black cloud of death. "The Void Swarm has destroyed 3 star systems," Vextar said, his voice making a hissing sound. "Our scouts say they will reach the outer colonies in 2 weeks. We must act now." General Thurok slammed his 4 massive fists on the table. The sound echoed through the room like thunder. His rock-like skin was dark red with anger. "My empire brings 1,000 ships," he roared. "Each one can destroy a moon with its weapons." Ambassador Zilneth's crystal body sparkled as she spoke. Her voice sounded like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "The Etherian fleet has 500 vessels. Our energy weapons can bend space itself." She looked around the room with pride. One by one, the other aliens spoke about their fleets. The insect-like hive queen Zelak buzzed as she talked about her 800 ships that moved like a swarm of angry bees. The Centaurian diplomat spoke of his 600 vessels that could travel faster than light itself. In the corner of the room, Commander Jake Morrison sat quietly. He was the only human in the hall, wearing a simple blue uniform that looked plain next to the colorful clothes and armor of the aliens. His brown hair was cut short and his green eyes watched everything carefully. "And what does Earth bring to this fight?" Vextar asked, turning his yellow eyes toward Morrison. The room became very quiet. All the aliens looked at the human with curious expressions. Morrison stood up slowly. He was not very tall compared to the aliens around him, but he stood straight with confidence. "Humanity will send 12 ships to join the battle," he said in a calm voice. The silence lasted for 3 seconds. Then the room exploded with laughter. Vexitar's long tongue flicked out as he made a sound that was like laughing and hissing at the same time. 12 ships? He repeated. "What can 12 tiny ships do against millions of void creatures?" General Thurok's laughter sounded like rocks falling down a mountain. "The humans think they can help us with 12 ships? My smallest battle group has 50 ships." Ambassador Zilneth's crystal body flashed with bright colors as she laughed. The sound was like breaking glass. "Perhaps the humans should stay home and let the real warriors fight this battle." Hive Queen Zelek's mandibles clicked together rapidly. 12 ships is not even a proper squadron. Do the humans think this is a game? The Centaurian Ambassador Lyrion tried to be more polite, but even he could not hide his doubt. "Commander Morrison, are you sure your people understand how dangerous this enemy is? The Void Swarm has never been stopped by any force." Morrison's face did not change. He did not look angry or embarrassed. "Our ships are specialized for this type of enemy," he said simply. "We will arrive at the battle coordinates in 3 days." This made the aliens laugh even harder. Vextar wiped tears from his yellow eyes. "Specialized," he repeated. "Yes, I am sure your primitive weapons are very specialized." General Thurok stood up, his huge body casting a shadow over the human. "Little human, your ships will hide behind our real warships. We will put you in the back where you cannot get hurt." "That would be acceptable," Morrison replied. He did not seem bothered by the insult. The meeting continued for 2 more hours. The aliens made their battle plans, talking about formations and attack patterns. They divided the enemy force among themselves, giving the humans the job of protecting supply ships far from the real fighting. As the meeting ended, the alien commanders talked privately among themselves. They used communication devices that they thought humans could not hear. "The humans are like children playing with toy soldiers," Vextar said to General Thurok through his private channel. "I heard they only reached space 200 years ago," Thurok replied. "Their technology is probably made from metal and explosives." Ambassador Zilneth joined their conversation. "We should be careful not to hurt their feelings. New species need encouragement even if they cannot really help." Hive Queen Zelak's voice buzzed through the communication link. 12 ships. I have seen human vessels before. They are small and weak. Their weapons use simple chemicals." Commander Morrison walked toward the door, but he could hear every word the alien said. His communication device was much better than they thought. He pressed a small button on his wrist and spoke quietly. "Admiral Bennett, this is Morrison. The aliens have assigned us to rear guard duty. They think we are bringing primitive weapons. a voice answered through his earpiece. Understood, Jake. Are they planning a direct assault? Yes, sir. Full frontal attack with heavy ships. They have no idea what they are facing. And they have no idea what we are bringing either, Admiral Bennett said with a small laugh. Maintain radio silence until the battle begins. Let them think what they want to think. Morrison left the meeting hall and walked toward his small transport ship. Behind him, the aliens continued to celebrate their powerful fleets and make jokes about the tiny human force. 3 days later, the human ships arrived at the battle coordinates. The aliens saw them on their screens and shook their heads. The human vessels were small and smooth with no visible weapons or armor. They looked more like research ships than warships. Look at those tiny things, General Thurrock said to his officers. I could destroy all 12 with one shot from my main cannon. The human ships moved to the back of the formation as ordered. They stayed quiet on all communication channels. The aliens were too busy preparing their own attacks to pay attention to the strange energy readings coming from the human vessels. Admiral Kyle Bennett sat in his command chair on the bridge of the UCS Defiance. Around him, his crew prepared for battle. They knew something the aliens did not know. The next few hours would change everything the galaxy thought about humanity. The Void Swarm was coming, and the real war was about to begin. The combined alien fleets gathered at the edge of the Kepler 442 system, like a metal storm waiting to strike. Thousands of warships floated in space. Their weapons pointed toward the darkness where death was coming. The ships came in all shapes and sizes, from General Thurrock's mountain-sized dreadnoughts to the Hive Queen swarm of smaller attack vessels. Admiral Kyle Bennett stood on the bridge of the UCS Defiance, watching the alien formations through the main screen. His ship was one of 12 human vessels positioned far behind the main battle line. The human fleet looked tiny compared to the massive alien armadas spread across space. Long-range sensors are picking up the Void Swarm, reported Lieutenant Sarah Martinez from her tactical station. Her dark hair was pulled back in a tight ponytail, and her brown eyes were focused on the data streaming across her screens. Distance 2 million kilometers and closing, Bennett nodded. Put it on the main screen, Sarah. The image that appeared made even the experienced human crew take a deep breath. The Void Swarm stretched across space like a living nightmare. Millions of organic ships moved together in perfect formation. Each bioship was dark and twisted, looking more like a sea creature than a spacecraft. They pulsed with a sickly green light that seemed to reach out through the darkness. Commander Pete Williams looked up from his engineering station. His red beard was streaked with gray, showing his many years of service. Admiral, I'm reading some very strange energy patterns from those things. They're not using any technology I recognize. That's because they're not using technology at all, Pete, Bennett replied. They're living creatures that learned to survive in space. Dr. Chen's report explains everything we need to know about them. On the other side of the bridge, Lieutenant Amy Foster monitored communication channels. Her blonde hair caught the light from her screens as she listened to the alien commanders. Sir, the alien fleets are moving into attack position. General Thurrock is requesting permission to begin the assault. Through the communication system, they could hear the alien commanders talking to each other. Vextar's voice hissed with confidence. My serpent ships will strike from the left flank. Their poison weapons will weaken the enemy before the main assault. General Thurrock's voice boomed through space. Carathian heavy destroyers will punch through their center line. Nothing can stand against our plasma cannons. Ambassador Zilneth's musical voice joined the conversation. Etherian energy weavers will create disruption fields around their formations. We will blind them before we destroy them. The Hive Queen's buzzing voice added her own plan. My swarm will attack from all directions at once. They cannot fight what they cannot catch. Admiral Bennett listened to their strategies and shook his head slowly. They're planning to fight the Void Swarm like it's a normal enemy fleet, he said to his crew. They have no idea what they're really facing. Dr. Lisa Chen entered the bridge carrying a data pad filled with her research. Her black hair was messy from working long hours, and her glasses reflected the light from the computer screens. Admiral, I've finished analyzing the void creature samples we captured last month. Their neural structure is more complex than we first thought. Tell me what you found, Lisa, Bennett said. The individual creatures are not really individual at all, Dr. Chen explained. They're all connected through quantum-entangled neural pathways. Think of them as fingers on a giant hand. Each finger can move by itself, but they're all controlled by the same brain. Lieutenant Martinez looked up from her station. So killing individual creatures won't stop the swarm? Exactly, Dr. Chen replied. The aliens can destroy thousands of bioships, but as long as the neural clusters remain intact, the swarm will keep fighting with perfect coordination. They need to disrupt the connections between the creatures. Commander Williams stroked his beard thoughtfully. And I suppose the alien weapons can't do that? Their weapons are designed to destroy physical targets, Dr. Chen said. They're bringing hammers to fight an enemy that requires surgery. The alien fleets continued their preparations, completely unaware of the conversation happening on the human ship. General Thurok's massive dreadnought moved forward, its hull covered with enough weapons to destroy a city. Behind it, hundreds of other Carathian ships followed in perfect formation. Ambassador Zilneth's crystal ships began to glow with inner light as they charged their energy manipulation systems. The beautiful vessels looked like floating jewels against the darkness of space. The Hive Queen's swarm spread out in a complex pattern that looked chaotic, but was actually very organized. Each small ship knew exactly where to go and what to do when the battle started. Vextar's serpent ships moved with smooth, predatory grace. Their dark hulls seemed to absorb light, making them hard to see against the black background of space. Admiral, Lieutenant Foster reported, High Commander Vextar is requesting that we move our ships forward to join the main battle line. Bennett pressed a button on his command chair. High Commander, the human fleet is not yet in optimal position for our specialized role. Vextar's angry voice came through the speakers. Admiral Bennett, this is not the time to be cautious. We need every ship in this fight. We understand the situation, Commander, Bennett replied calmly. Our ships will engage when the tactical situation is appropriate. General Thurok's voice interrupted the conversation. The humans are afraid, he announced to all the alien commanders. Their tiny ships are hiding in the back while real warriors prepare to fight. The Hive Queen's buzzing laughter filled the communication channel. Maybe they should go home and let their mothers protect them. Admiral Bennett turned off the communication system and looked at his crew. Let them think what they want to think. In a few hours, they'll understand why we're really here. The Void Swarm continued to approach, growing larger and more terrifying with each passing minute. The alien sensors could now count individual bioships, and the numbers were overwhelming. Conservative estimates put the enemy force at over 10 million creatures, each one the size of a cruiser. Admiral, Sarah Martinez said quietly, the aliens are going to take heavy losses. Their battle plans assume they're fighting a normal enemy fleet. I know, Sarah, Bennett replied, but they won't listen to us. They think they know better than the newcomers with a tiny fleet. Dr. Chen checked her datapad one more time. The neural clusters should be located in the larger bioships at the center of each formation. If we can disrupt those connections, the surrounding creatures will become confused and disorganized. How many clusters are we looking at? Commander Williams asked. Based on the formation patterns, I estimate about 50 major neural clusters controlling the entire swarm, Dr. Chen answered. Each cluster coordinates roughly 200,000 individual creatures. Lieutenant Foster looked up from her communication station. Admiral, the alien fleets are beginning their attack run. General Thurok's ships are moving forward at full speed. Through the main screen, they could see the massive alien armada accelerating toward the approaching Void Swarm. Thousands of ships spread across space in attack formation, their weapons charging for the coming battle. All human ships, maintain radio silence and hold position, Admiral Bennett ordered. Wait for my signal. The 12 human vessels stayed in their position at the rear of the formation, ignored by the alien commanders who were focused on their own attack plans. None of the aliens noticed the strange energy readings coming from the human ships, or the way they seemed to be scanning the Void Swarm with unusual sensors. The battle was about to begin and everything would change. The space battle began with a flash of light that could be seen from 3 star systems away. General Thurok's massive dreadnoughts opened fire first, their plasma cannons creating streams of blue energy that reached across the darkness like fingers of destruction. The weapons hit the front edge of the Void Swarm and vaporized hundreds of bioships in the first few seconds. Direct hits on target formations, General Thurok announced proudly through the communication channels. Carathian weapons are cutting through their lines like a hot knife through butter. But his celebration was short-lived. For every bioship that was destroyed, 10 more moved forward to take its place. The Void Swarm did not slow down or change course. The creatures at the front were destroyed, but the millions behind them continued forward with the same terrifying coordination. Ambassador Zilneth's crystal ships began their attack next. Beautiful waves of energy flowed from their hulls, creating bright fields that twisted space itself. The energy waves crashed into the void formations, disrupting their movement and causing thousands of creatures to spin out of control. Etherian disruption fields are working, Zilneth reported, her voice filled with confidence. The enemy cannot maintain formation in our energy matrix. For a few minutes it looked like the plan might work. The void creatures seemed confused by the energy fields, and their perfect formations became scattered and disorganized. But then something changed. The bioships began to adapt, learning how to move through the energy barriers. Within 10 minutes they were navigating around the disruption fields as if they had always known how. The Hive Queen swarm attacked from multiple directions at once, just as she had planned. Her ships moved like angry insects, darting in to attack individual bioships before flying away. The strategy worked well at first, with dozens of void creatures being destroyed by quick hit-and-run attacks. But the enemy learned from this too. The bioships began to work together in new ways, surrounding the attacking alien vessels and trapping them with coordinated movements. Soon, Hive Queen ships were being swarmed by dozens of void creatures that attached themselves to the hulls and began eating through the armor with acid. Vextar's serpent ships tried to use their speed and stealth to attack from unexpected angles. They moved like shadows through space, appearing suddenly to strike with their poison weapons before disappearing again. The attacks were beautiful to watch and destroyed many enemy ships. But the Void Swarm was learning from every encounter. The creatures began to predict where the serpent ships would attack next, setting traps that caught the fast-moving vessels and webs of bioships. Once trapped, the alien ships were quickly overwhelmed and consumed. On the bridge of the UCS Defiance, Admiral Bennett watched the battle with growing concern. The alien strategies were failing one by one, just as Dr. Chen had predicted. The human crew observed in silence as their allies suffered heavy losses. Admiral, the Carathian 3rd Battle Group just lost half its ships, Lieutenant Sarah Martinez reported from her tactical station. Her voice was steady, but her hands were tight on her controls. General Thurrock is calling for reinforcements. Commander Pete Williams shook his head as he watched his engineering displays. Those bioships are learning faster than anyone expected. They're adapting to every weapon the aliens use. Dr. Lisa Chen stood behind the tactical station, watching the battle data flow across the screens. The creatures are sharing information through their neural network, she explained. Every attack teaches the entire swarm how to defend against that type of weapon. Through the communication channels, they could hear the growing panic in the alien commanders' voices. General Thurrock was no longer boasting about his powerful weapons. "We need immediate support on the left flank," he shouted. "My ships cannot hold this position much longer." Ambassador Zilneth's musical voice had become sharp with fear. "The energy fields are not working anymore. The creatures have learned to ignore our disruption patterns." The Hive Queen's buzzing had turned into a sound of distress. "My swarm is being swarmed by their swarm. This should not be possible." Vextar's hissing voice cut through the chaos. "All ships fall back to secondary positions. We need to regroup and try a different approach." But there was no time to regroup. The Void Swarm pressed forward relentlessly, consuming everything in its path. Alien ships that were damaged by the initial attacks were quickly surrounded and destroyed. The bioships seemed to prefer attacking wounded vessels, like predators going after injured prey. Lieutenant Amy Foster monitored the communication channels with growing alarm. "Admiral, I'm counting massive casualties across all alien fleets. The Carathians have lost 60% of their ships. The Etherians are down by half. The Hive Queen has lost most of her outer formations." Admiral Bennett pressed a button on his command chair. "Hi, Commander Vextar, this is Admiral Bennett. Request permission to move human ships to forward positions." Vextar's reply came immediately, filled with desperation. "Admiral Bennett, bring your ships forward now. We need every weapon we can get. I don't care how small your fleet is." "Understood, Commander," Bennett replied. "Human ships are moving to attack positions now." But instead of moving toward the main battle, the human ships began to spread out in a wide formation behind the alien lines. Their movement was slow and careful, nothing like the desperate charges of the alien vessels. General Thurrock's voice roared through the communication system. Admiral Bennett, what are you doing? The battle is in front of you, not behind us. Human ships are moving to optimal firing positions, Bennett replied calmly. Optimal positions? The Hive Queen buzzed angrily. While we die fighting, you hide behind us like cowards. The accusations continued as the alien fleet suffered more losses. Ship after ship disappeared into the growing mass of void creatures. The bioships were not just destroying the alien vessels but consuming them, using the metal and energy to grow larger and stronger. Captain Ryan Torres of the UCS Vigilance reported to Admiral Bennett through a secure channel. Sir, I'm tracking the neural cluster movements. Dr. Chen was right about their location and structure. How many clusters have you identified, Ryan? Bennett asked. 47 major clusters so far, Admiral. Each one is controlling massive sections of the swarm. They're positioned exactly where Dr. Chen predicted they would be. Dr. Chen checked her datapad and nodded with satisfaction. The clusters are maintaining perfect coordination even while adapting to alien tactics. That's their strength, but it's also their weakness. Commander Williams looked up from his engineering station. Admiral, all ships report ready for Protocol Omega. Quantum disruptor arrays are charged and standing by. Admiral Bennett looked at the main screen, where the alien fleets were falling back in disorder. Thousands of ships had been destroyed or damaged beyond repair. The void swarm continued forward, seemingly unstoppable. Not yet, Pete, Bennett said quietly. We need to wait for the right moment. The alien ships need to clear the targeting zones. Lieutenant Martinez tracked the retreating alien formations. Sir, at current rate of withdrawal, the aliens will be clear of our firing solution in approximately 12 minutes. The aliens cannot last 12 more minutes, Dr. Chen said with concern. Look at their casualty reports. Admiral Bennett watched as more alien ships were consumed by the relentless bioships. He understood the cost of waiting, but he also understood the cost of acting too early. The human weapons were designed for precision, not for fighting through friendly forces. All human ships prepare for immediate engagement, he finally ordered. We go in 60 seconds. The time had come to show the galaxy what the tiny human fleet could really do. Admiral Kyle Bennett's voice cut through the chaos of the failing battle like a sharp blade through silk. All human ships execute Protocol Omega. Target the neural clusters. Begin quantum disruption sequence now. The 12 human ships that had been mocked and dismissed suddenly came alive with purpose. Captain Laura Gibson of the UCS Retribution was the first to move, her sleek vessel accelerating toward the center of the void swarm with impossible precision. The ship moved through the battlefield like a surgeon's scalpel, avoiding both alien and enemy fire with movements that seemed almost like dancing. First neural cluster identified and locked, Captain Gibson reported through the secure human communication channel. Her voice was calm and focused, showing no fear as her ship dove deep into the heart of the enemy formation. Beginning quantum entanglement disruption in 3, 2, 1. The weapon that fired from the UCS Retribution looked nothing like the plasma cannons and energy beams the aliens used. Instead of visible light or explosive energy, the quantum disruptor created a ripple in space itself. The ripple spread outward from Gibson's ship like a stone thrown into still water, moving at the speed of light toward its target. When the disruption wave hit the first neural cluster, the effect was immediate and shocking. A massive bioship at the center of a formation suddenly went dark, its sickly green glow fading to black. But that was just the beginning. All around the dead neural cluster, hundreds of smaller bioships stopped moving in their coordinated patterns and began drifting aimlessly through space. On the bridge of the UCS Defiance, Dr. Lisa Chen watched her instruments with excitement. It's working exactly as predicted, she announced to Admiral Bennett. The quantum disruption severed the neural pathways between the cluster and its controlled units. The alien commanders watched in amazement as a section of the previously unstoppable void swarm became helpless and confused. General Thurrock's voice came through the communication system, filled with disbelief. What just happened? Those creatures just stopped fighting. Before anyone could answer, Captain Helen Cruz of the UCS Phoenix engaged her target. Her ship moved with the same precise grace as Gibson's vessel, positioning itself for a perfect shot at another neural cluster. The quantum disruptor fired, and another section of the swarm went dark. Second cluster neutralized, Cruz reported. Approximately 200,000 bioships now offline. Commander Steve Adams of the UCS Vengeance coordinated his attack with two other human ships, creating a triangular formation that allowed them to target 3 neural clusters simultaneously. The combined quantum disruption created a cascade effect that rippled through the enemy network like lightning. Multiple clusters down, Adams reported. I'm seeing chain reactions spreading through their command structure. The Void Swarm, which had been advancing like an unstoppable wall of death just minutes before, began to show signs of confusion and disorder. Large sections of bioships drifted without purpose, no longer responding to the coordinated commands of their neural network. High Commander Vexitar's serpentine voice hissed with amazement. Admiral Bennett, what kind of weapons are those? I have never seen anything affect the enemy like this. Quantum entanglement neural disruptors, Admiral Bennett replied matter-of-factly. They target the connection points between the creature's shared consciousness. Ambassador Zilneth's crystal form flashed with confused colors. But such technology should be impossible. How does a new species possess weapons more advanced than ours? Captain Nick Peterson of the UCS Thunder demonstrated the precision of the human weapons by targeting a neural cluster that was hidden deep inside a formation of protecting bioships. His quantum disruptor somehow passed through the smaller creatures without harming them and struck the cluster directly, causing the entire formation to collapse into confused drifting. The weapons ignore individual creatures and target only the neural connections, Dr. Chen explained over the communication channel. We developed this technology to treat patients with networked brain disorders. The revelation caused a moment of stunned silence among the alien commanders. The Hive Queen's mandibles clicked rapidly as she tried to understand. You created these powerful weapons to heal sick people? Not weapons, Dr. Chen corrected. Medical instruments. We only adapted them for military use when we learned about the Void Swarm's neural structure. As more neural clusters were destroyed, the tide of battle changed completely. The void creatures that had been learning and adapting to every alien attack were now scattered and directionless. Without their coordinating intelligence, they reverted to simple animal behavior, attacking randomly or fleeing in panic. Captain Matt Johnson of the UCS Warrior targeted a cluster near the rear of the formation, causing a cascade failure that spread through multiple connected groups. Major breakthrough in Sector 7, he reported. I count over 500,000 creatures going offline. The remaining functional bioships tried to protect their neural clusters by surrounding them with walls of smaller creatures. But the human weapons passed through these barriers as if they did not exist. The quantum disruption technology operated on a level that physical matter could not block. Captain Sandra Lee of the UCS Guardian worked with Captain Tim Brown of the UCS Defender to create a coordinated attack on the largest neural cluster they had identified. This massive bioship was the size of a space station and seemed to be controlling nearly 1 million smaller creatures. Targeting primary cluster, Lee announced. This one looks like a command node for multiple formations. The combined quantum disruption from both ships created a wave of neural collapse that spread through the enemy network like a plague. Entire sections of the Void Swarm suddenly stopped their attacks and began retreating in confusion. General Thurok watched his tactical displays with growing amazement. The creatures are running away, he announced, hardly believing his own words. The unstoppable Void Swarm is retreating. Admiral Bennett's calm voice came through the communication system. All alien vessels, you are clear to pursue retreating enemy forces. Human ships will continue neural disruption support to prevent regrouping. But the aliens were too shocked to pursue immediately. They had spent hours watching their powerful fleets being destroyed by a seemingly invincible enemy, only to see 12 small human ships turn the entire battle around in less than 30 minutes. Captain Brian Walsh of the UCS Liberty targeted the last major cluster in his sector, completing the collapse of the Void Swarm's left flank. Sector cleared, he reported. All enemy units in this area are either neutralized or fleeing. The battlefield that had been filled with the coordinated terror of millions of bioships was now scattered with confused creatures drifting aimlessly through space. Some continued to flee toward deep space, while others simply stopped moving entirely, their connection to the controlling intelligence permanently severed. Vexitar's voice was filled with a new kind of respect. Admiral Bennett, in 3,000 years of galactic warfare, I have never seen anything like this. How did your species develop such advanced neural technology? Dr. Chen's voice answered before Admiral Bennett could speak. We didn't develop it for warfare, Commander. Every piece of technology you just witnessed was created to help sick people on Earth. The quantum entanglement systems were designed to treat autism, schizophrenia, and brain injuries. The silence that followed was the sound of an entire galaxy's understanding of humanity changing forever. The species they had dismissed as primitive newcomers had just demonstrated technology that made their ancient civilizations look like children playing with simple toys. The battle was over, but the real changes were just beginning. The aftermath of the battle painted a picture that would be remembered throughout galactic history. The once mighty alien fleets floated in space like broken toys, their hulls torn and blackened from the desperate fight. Nearly 2/3 of the combined alien forces had been destroyed or damaged beyond repair. Thousands of ships that had proudly entered the battle were now nothing more than twisted metal, drifting through the darkness. In sharp contrast, the 12 human vessels remained completely untouched. Their smooth hulls reflected the light of distant stars without a single scratch or burn mark. They moved through the battlefield with the same calm precision they had shown during the fight, checking for survivors and scanning for any remaining neural clusters. High Commander Vextar's flagship limped through space on emergency power, its serpentine hull cracked in 3 places. The proud commander who had mocked humanity's contribution now sent a formal request to come aboard the UCS Defiance. When Admiral Bennett granted permission, Vextar arrived with a much smaller group than usual, his yellow eyes showing a mixture of respect and confusion. The alien commander's movements were different as he entered the human bridge. Gone was the arrogant swagger he had displayed at the War Council. Instead, he approached Admiral Bennett with careful, respectful steps, his serpentine form coiled in what his species considered a gesture of honor. "Admiral Bennett," Vextar began, his voice lacking any trace of its former condescension, "I must formally apologize for my behavior at the council meeting. We underestimated your species in ways that nearly cost us everything." Admiral Bennett stood to greet his former critic with dignity. "Commander Vextar, there's no need for apologies. You couldn't have known what our ships were capable of." General Thurrock's massive form appeared on the main communication screen, his rock-like face showing visible humility for the first time anyone could remember. "Admiral Bennett, my entire battle philosophy has been shattered today. How does a species that achieved spaceflight only 2 centuries ago possess technology that makes our weapons look like ancient clubs?" Before Admiral Bennett could answer, Dr. Lisa Chen stepped forward with her datapad. Her tired face showed the strain of the long battle, but her eyes were bright with the satisfaction of seeing her theories proven correct. "General Thurrock, we didn't develop this technology for space warfare," Dr. Chen explained patiently. "The quantum entanglement neural disruptors you witnessed today were originally created in our medical research facilities on Earth." Ambassador Zilneth's crystalline form appeared on another communication screen, her usually bright colors now dim with exhaustion and amazement. "Medical research? You created galaxy-changing weapons as healing tools?" Dr. Chen nodded. "For the past century, human scientists have been working to understand and treat disorders of the human brain. Autism, schizophrenia, traumatic brain injuries, depression, addiction, all of these conditions involve problems with neural networks and consciousness connections." The alien commanders listened in stunned silence as Dr. Chen continued her explanation. "We discovered that consciousness operates through quantum-entangled pathways that exist outside normal spacetime. When these pathways are damaged or disrupted, the mind cannot function properly. Our medical quantum disruptors were designed to repair these connections and restore healthy brain function." Captain Jake Morrison, who had endured the mockery at the original council meeting, stepped forward to add his perspective. "What you saw today was simply the application of our medical knowledge to military purposes. When Dr. Chen analyzed the Void Swarm's neural structure, we realized that the same technology that heals broken minds could be used to disrupt a shared consciousness network." The Hive Queen's image appeared on the screen, her insectoid features showing what could only be described as awe. "You turned healing instruments into the most powerful weapons we have ever seen?" "We prefer not to think of them as weapons," Admiral Bennett replied. "Even in battle, our goal was to heal the galaxy by stopping a threat that could not be reasoned with or negotiated with." Commander Pete Williams joined the conversation from his engineering station. "The quantum disruptors don't actually destroy anything, Your Majesty. They simply disconnect the individual creatures from their controlling network. Many of the bioships we defeated are still alive, They're just thinking for themselves. Now, instead of being controlled by the clusters, this revelation created another wave of amazement among the alien commanders. Lieutenant Sarah Martinez brought up tactical displays, showing the scattered void creatures drifting peacefully through space. Some of the disconnected creatures are already showing signs of individual behavior, she reported. They're no longer aggressive or coordinated. Without the hive mind controlling them, they seem to be returning to their natural peaceful state. General Thurrock shook his massive head slowly. In all my years of warfare, I have never encountered an enemy that could be defeated by healing them. This changes everything we know about conflict resolution. The political implications of what had happened began to spread through the galactic community immediately. Admiral Bennett received formal communications from the Galactic Defense Council, the Trade Federation, and dozens of individual planetary governments. All of them wanted to understand how humanity had developed such advanced technology. Ambassador Zelneth's crystal form brightened as she made a formal announcement. By unanimous vote of the surviving fleet commanders, we request that Admiral Bennett be appointed as Supreme Commander of Neural Warfare Defense for the Galactic Defense Council. The appointment was unprecedented. Never before had a member of such a young species been given such authority over galactic military matters, but the evidence of humanity's unique capabilities was impossible to ignore. I accept the position, Admiral Bennett replied, but with the understanding that our primary mission will be to develop better ways to resolve conflicts without causing unnecessary death or destruction. Commander Vextar's serpentine form coiled in agreement. Admiral, after what we witnessed today, I believe your species may have the wisdom to lead us toward a more peaceful future. As the formal ceremonies concluded and the alien fleets began their journey home, Dr. Chen received a priority transmission from Earth's medical research facilities. She read the message with growing excitement before sharing it with the bridge crew. Admiral, I've just received confirmation from the Neurological Research Institute, she announced with a smile. The same quantum entanglement technology that won this battle has just successfully cured the last confirmed cases of Alzheimer's disease on Earth. Our homeworld is now completely free of neural degenerative disorders. The message served as a perfect reminder of humanity's true priorities. While other species developed technology for conquest and control, humans had focused on healing and understanding. When forced to adapt their medical knowledge for warfare, they had created the most powerful military force in the galaxy, not through aggression, but through compassion. Lieutenant Amy Foster monitored the communication channels as the various alien fleets departed. Admiral, I'm receiving messages from over 40 different species requesting medical technology exchanges. They want to learn about our neural healing techniques. Admiral Bennett looked around at his crew with pride. Send a response to all inquiries. Tell them that human medical knowledge is freely available to any species that wants to heal their people. We've never believed that healing should be kept secret. As the UCS Defiance prepared to escort the damaged alien ships back to their home systems, the crew reflected on how much had changed in just one day. Humanity had entered the battle as the galaxy's newest and supposedly weakest member. They were leaving as its most respected leaders and teachers. The species that had been mocked for bringing only 12 ships to the greatest battle in galactic history had proven that sometimes the smallest force, guided by wisdom and compassion, could accomplish what brute strength never could. The age of human leadership in the galaxy had begun, not through conquest but through the simple desire to heal a broken universe.